you get a lot more fulfillment, I think, if you have a dream and you want to do something big and you're laying on your deathbed someday going, gosh, I really wish I would have done that.
Hello, and welcome to Braving It with Tracie Renee, where stories of inspiration and motivation are going to help you discover your brave. Let's go. Welcome to Braving It with Tracie Renee, and today I'm super excited to have on the show with me a longtime friend, and that means that we're old, Kenny Mintz. Welcome, Kenny.
Hello. Hi, Tracie.
Hello. So we met in high school. Yes, right?
Yeah.
When did you get to high school? What year?
So I was at Torrey Pines High School my freshman and sophomore year, and my family moved to Fallbrook the summer between our sophomore and junior year. So would that be like 85, I
Yeah,
think?
something like that. Yeah, but you came later. So like your junior year we met.
I'm not a homegrown Fallbrookian. I
That's
was only
right.
there for 2 years. It was a very eventful 2 years, though. It had a
Yeah.
huge impact on my life, really.
Yeah. Well,
So
we won't hold it against you that you're not a native Fallbrookian. That's okay.
that's okay. I mean, and like in the Army, since I've moved around everywhere, you're always sort of an outsider. I
Yeah.
always felt kind of like an outsider, but not. But I made great friends. Like I'm still friends with a lot of people from high school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can see that. Thank God for Facebook, or else you and I would never stay in touch, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a special place. It really is. And I acknowledge that. But I stayed friends with like Rich Fox and Johnny Nixon and Robert Stepano and Bill Kennington, Steve Steffen. Like we've stayed friends like all through the years. We never stopped being friends.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
yeah.
Special for sure. So before we get started on your courageous and brave adventure that you're doing right now, tell us a little bit more about you and what you've done since high school, because that's also very courageous.
So yeah, I went to West Point, United States Military Academy after high school, and I graduated in 1991. So I was commissioned as an officer in the United States Army, and I served in the Army, after 4 years at West Point for 30 years. I retired as a colonel, and my final job was working here I live in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, working at the Army War College. And no, I had a great career. I did, like real things in the Army. Deployed 6 times. Served in combat, led soldiers in combat. Did all the things that that I wanted to do as an officer in terms of taking full measure of myself. I feel blessed in that because I don't know that many people really have that in their life.
Yeah.
And so I had a great career, but I was also ready to move on. I was ready to move on from the Army. I had a great life, but I also was excited about redefining myself and doing something different after the Army, which kind of leads to this whole conversation, tonight. So
Yes.
yeah, so I had a great life in the Army, great friends, great soldiers, parts of, I was in great units with people that I really, really love and I'm attached to, and I'm thankful for that life. And frankly, if I hadn't gone to Fallbrook, I probably never would have ever gone to West Point, and I certainly would have never gone in the military. My life would be completely different. So it's funny how little things, somewhat seemingly little things, turn into big things. So the trajectory of my life changed drastically just because my family moved there. And yeah, it was a great life. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thank you. I thank you all the time, but I do thank you from the bottom of my heart for serving and protecting our country, our great country. So thank you.
Right. I love our country,
I do
I
too,
really
very
do.
much. Yeah, thank you. So moving on to this new adventure in your life,
Yeah.
tell everybody what you're doing because this is nuts. I mean, I'm just saying it's nuts.
So I'm walking across America. Um,
Literally,
yep.
people
Yep.
walking
I'm walking
across
across
America.
America. So it
Okay.
was really sort of inspired. My mom died of pancreatic cancer March of 2020. And I was pretty much raised by my mom. And when I was 4 years old, my mom was working in DC. It's a long story about how she ended up in DC, but she was in Washington, DC working. She had this fantasy about California and what it represented, and so she went with a Navy family that was going to get stationed in San Diego. They needed someone to drive a car, and all she had was me and a suitcase. And she was 23 years old, and I was 4, and she went out there with really nothing and started a whole life and started a company out there. Eventually, it was quite successful as a defense contractor, and my whole life I was always sort of inspired by that. But when my mom was dying of cancer, I just thought about, you hear everybody complaining about, oh, all the things in our country. And frankly, of course, my mom never took any stock in that. And, she had nothing, no college, no money, and she started a life. And that's always been an inspiration to me. And that was what crystallized in my mind about wanting to walk across America. And it just sort of came to me because I was taking care of her a lot, and she had cancer for 5.5 years, and she fought it. She lived longer than most people do with pancreatic cancer, and so that was the original inspiration. And then, having served in combat and losing people in combat, real hard fighting, real hard. The things that most Americans probably don't even know we were doing. When you're at the end of the whole, the power of America extends to these soldiers who are dirty and tired and scared, fighting on the frontiers of freedom, if you will. That's where I was. And you lose people, and you go, life's for living. And what would my fallen want? What would they want of us? They'd want us to live. They'd want us to thrive. They'd want us to go forth and do great things. So all of these things sort of together sort of motivated me to want to do something a little bit different after I retired. I hope I'm not going off too far on a tangent.
No, this is what I want to hear. People want to hear this.
Well, I guess the other thing is, a lot of times in life, we wait around to do things. Someday I'm going to go, I'm going to go do something. And honestly, you'll come to the end of your life and go, wow, I really wished I had done this or done that. I don't want to be that person. I want to be the person that said, I had the opportunity to do something. I had a goal, and I met the goal. And a lot of times also, we wait around for, we got to get the boss's approval, or somebody's got to tell us it's okay to do this. Well, I'm in a position where I have the freedom to decide what I want to do, and it's up to me to do it. And it's like actually quite pure. There's something quite pure and honest about, I'm going to walk 3,000 miles, and either I'm going to do it or I'm not. How often in life do we get to define a goal in such a pure way? A lot of times, we don't really even know if what we're doing has an impact. And I'm already seeing an impact in this. I'm already raising money. I'm already, not for me, but for my causes. And so I guess that's a long answer to a short question.
That's okay. That's exactly what I wanted. No, I want you to talk. I want to hear it all. First of all, I'm sorry about your mom. I've sent my condolences, but I will tell you on Facebook, I loved watching your journey. If you guys follow Kenny, he's very, very transparent. We're going to give you all the links at the end and everything, but if one thing he is transparent, just like he's being right now. And the journey with his mother was the same thing. And it really touched me, and I appreciate that, Kenny. It's pretty vulnerable and also brave, which is what we're talking about tonight. So, all right, so you set out to do this 3,000-mile walk, okay? And you already started. You started a week ago, so this is day 8, right?
This is day 8. So today's my first rest day. I did 7
Okay.
straight days.
Yeah, and
Um,
how's it going? How's it going?
it's going good. So I walked 152 miles in 7 days. Um, I would say, I didn't really know, like I'm just getting started, but you don't really know what to expect,
Mm.
and y- I've, in a lot of ways it's exceeded my expectations because you really, really feel the places you're walking through. You're feeling it. You're around it. You're around the differences about how barns are made and the way people live, and you go through historic places, and you know and most importantly is how people have come out and walk with me, and we just have these great conversations, um, and that's the other part about this, is connecting with people. So far, I mean, I feel like already this weird transformation happening in some ways, and just because maybe because I'm a military guy, I like to be in the arena. I like to be operating again, and I feel like I'm operating. It's like today I got a mission today. Today I got to do so many miles. I got to get from point A to point B. I got to suck it up. I have to communicate. I have a support guy. I got to talk to him and get him where he needs to be, and it's very comforting in a lot of ways, and I enjoy the challenge of the physical challenge of it. I like it's very visceral, it's very pure, and it's painful too. I mean, I'm a 53-year-old man doing something that's physically challenging, but I enjoy it. Um, so far it's been amazing. It's exceeded my expectations. It's already been amazing to me, and I'm still processing it. I I'm a kind of person who lives one day at a time. So, I don't go, well, oh God, I got 3,000 miles ahead of me. I'm really thinking about what do I need to do today and tomorrow. That's just sort of how I am. And so, next thing you know, I'll be out in Encinitas, walking in the Pacific Ocean.
Yes. So
So yeah.
exciting. So exciting. That's amazing to me. So you said it's exceeded your expectations, but you've also had some challenges along the way because I know you posted some. So what's been the biggest challenge thus far that you probably didn't anticipate setting out?
um, some of it's self-induced. So you have to be very disciplined about self-care. Um, when you're doing something like this. So you have to take care of yourself. You have to stretch. You have to eat. You have to get the caloric intake. You got to get the fluids. You got to get the rest. Um, and I'm not much of a self care guy. I'm like let's just suck it up and keep driving on, and that's not going to work. Um, so I had a little bit of a challenge. With some of the gear, I figured out that some of the stuff that I was using probably wasn't going to work as well as I wanted it to do. But I made those adjustments. Um, it's really hard because I have to walk on roads. So, you're walking on roads and you have to pay attention. I mean, you can't just like zone out. I mean, not to say that I would be zoning out. And I'm not the kind of guy, I don't wear earphones and listen to music. I listen to the birds and I listen to what's going on around me and the wind and everything else. So I'm very much in the moment, but you have to pay attention to the drivers because you know all it takes is one little and you're dead, right? So you have to pay attention. And I read every car that comes at me. I walk against traffic. I read the driver. And if that guy or gal doesn't look like they're paying attention, I get off the road. I let them pass. I get back on the road. So you have to you're constantly moving. You're constantly assessing, and that's exhausting. Um, Obviously, I'm learning about um, how to deal with that. I'm learning that you know probably the biggest threat I'm going to deal with is drivers, and people are angry when they're driving. I mean, it's amazing to me how many there's angry, you know, they'll gun their engine or they'll, I mean, I've had a couple of people actually like swerve at me, you know, but most people aren't like that. Most people are really good.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of weirdos that are just angry. So, I figured out that don't walk during rush hour because most of our, let's face it, our life is based off of commuting from our suburban. Most of us live in suburbia. We drive to work. We're always running late. We're, we're angry because we got to get to work on time, um, and then after work we're in a hurry to get home. We're like little hobbits getting back to their hobbit holes.
Yeah.
So those are the bad times to be walking because drivers are less inclined to be attentive to you on the road as a pedestrian. And this is not a pedestrian friendly or bike friendly country.
Yeah.
People don't like distractions on the road, which is, I think, is a problem.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I think that, that's going to be the thing that it didn't surprise me as much, but it takes a lot of your mental energy to constantly stay focused on your environment in that way. It's not like walking on a trail where you're just sort of you can kind of drift away. The trail's out in front of you. You don't have to worry about a car hitting you. And so I have to consider that. And I've made, in terms of my route, I've picked some roads that, not because I picked them, but in some cases you don't have a choice, but to get on
Right.
some very busy roads and they're dangerous. You know, um, I walked on a road yesterday uh, in the rain, pouring rain, and everybody's driving as fast as they possibly can. If the speed limit is 25, they're going to go 85. They're going to go as fast as they can for as long as they can. That's just how people are, and it's interesting to see that. And I knew that was going to be a threat. Um, so anyway,
Wow.
again, yeah.
That is amazing. So everybody listening, please be careful. Please with pedestrians and bikers.
Don't run me over.
No, not
Look
just
out for
Kenny, but anybody.
look out for the people on the road.
Right. And if you want to hear a horror story of when I hit a pedestrian at 17 years old, listen to my first podcast.
Oh, okay.
Not fun. Yeah. Yeah. It happened. And
Well,
it changed my life.
like it did change your life, and it's because you're a conscientious person who probably looked at yourself in the mirror and said, "Geez, what could I have done differently?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I've certainly noticed that young men and women are the most dangerous drivers out there.
Yeah.
They're the most unlikely to go, let me pull over and give this guy a little extra space.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And
know,
it changes if you do something stupid. So
yeah,
okay, so you're starting in Washington D.C., ending in Encinitas, California, and here's something I just you mentioned your mother living in D.C.
yeah,
and then ending and living in California. Is
right,
that why you're doing that?
yeah,
That's
right.
why. Okay, see, this is news to me. I didn't realize that's why you're walking that stretch.
So people say like, well, why aren't you starting on the Atlantic Ocean and walking to Seattle? I'm like, no, I'm gonna go from where my mom started to where she actually went to Coronado,
Okay.
but I grew up in Encinitas in that area. So I wanted to go back to a place where, that has like meaning to me. I can't tell you how many times in hard places and hard times I thought about where I grew up and went, I mean, I lived in this amazing place. I've always, and I still go back usually almost every year. My stepsisters still live in North County. I always go back home. Some of my childhood friends still live in and around where we grew up, and we'll get together and I'll stand there like in Cardiff, looking at the ocean sparkling,
Yeah.
and go, I saw this every single day, and to me it was just normal when I was a kid. Now I look at it and I have tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
You know, um, so I brought my kids to these places. Like these places mean something to them now. And
Right.
Swami's Beach. it's just like a favorite stop. We always go kind of up the Pacific Coast Highway. We go to the Self-Realization Fellowship Gardens and meditate and look at the ocean, and then we go down to Swami's and kind of, watch the world, watch the ocean, and it's always really this really grounding thing. So for some reason, that's where it drew me to go to.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. I'm so glad that you mentioned that and made that connection for me. Okay, so the goal is 20 miles a day at least, and it's going to take you 7 months. Okay, my goodness, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And you're going to take weekends off to rest? Is that the goal?
The goal is walk 6 days, rest one.
Oh my.
And so I started off, I was averaging just this first week, 22 miles a day. You'll have to check in with me in about a couple months
Yeah.
to see where I'm at. And I've decided that's too much. That it needs to be okay for me to just decide 15 miles is good enough today. Um, because, it's a long haul, and I've sort of changed my goal to say at least 15 instead of 20. And
Okay.
that way, if I want to go to 20 psychologically, it's a lot of it. It's a different challenge for me. Like, okay, I'm at 15. I feel pretty good. I can go to 20. I can go more than that. And as I walk and I get more into my routine, I think it's going to be easier and easier for me to go to walk longer too. Um, I'm going to start running into some bigger challenges. I mean, I'm going to hit summer. It's going to be hot.
Mm-hmm.
I will be walking in, some pretty hot conditions,
Yeah.
but I think that I'll have the advantage of, a couple thousand miles under my belt by then, and I'll have the fitness level and like just the conditioning of being out walking every day.
Yeah.
So I'm not taking weekends off. There's a couple of places where I'm going to take a couple extra days off, um, just because I'm probably going to need it. And if I need an extra day, I'll take an extra day. I mean, I'm not trying to set a land speed record here.
Right.
So yeah.
I love that. I like that you're reassessing. So you're a one day at a time kind of guy, and you're going to reassess
Yep.
as you go. And it may take a little longer, it may take you less time, but it's just going to be what it is. I love that. And
Well, I mean,
that's part of the being courageous and being okay with just having it be what it is, and the expectations aren't so grandiose that you can't meet them, right?
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about in a minute we'll talk about how people can support you, but do you have anything with your logo on it right now so you can show them?
So this is my guy.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So this is my Sasquatch. And the Sasquatch is carrying an American flag, and he's walking against a purple United States of America with the star in DC and a star in Encinitas with the dotted line that represents the route. So, whoops. So, the Sasquatch is me walking west. He's kind of a whimsical creature, He's fun to me. He's kind of fun. He's whimsical.
He's hairy,
He's
like you
hairy. I'm not
right
super
now,
hairy. I
right
am growing
here.
this. I am growing this beard. I'm not excessively hairy. Other than that, but that's um, and the artist kind of made the face look a little bit like me, so I have a little bit of more of a squinty eyed character. So the Sasquatch is just sort of a fun, whimsical, walking dude.
Mm-hmm.
The flag is service, so that's service, the service of my country to my country that I love and I believe in. And it's also service to the causes that I'm representing, and the sacrifice, of walking for those causes. Purple is the color of pancreatic cancer. It's also the color of recovery. And then, the route and the stars have to do with where I'm going. And this idea of a journey to me has always been a great metaphor for me. That life's out in front of you. To be able to do something like a journey or a pilgrimage or something like that. it's sort of in us. Like, it's funny when I say to people, "Oh, I'm walking across America." A lot of people just smile and shake their head, and they're like, "Yep, that's really cool." They don't ask why I'm doing it. They just go, "I wish I could do that." They
Mhm.
just get it. So that's sort of the symbiology of it. And Kenny Walks Across America is my, you know, is my Facebook page and my Instagram. Kenny Walks. You can friend me at Kenny Walks as well. I set up a separate account under that, and I have a group called Kenny Walks Across America group. I have probably too much stuff, but part of it was just because I was kind of making it up as I went along and trying to figure a lot of things out as I went along. And I have something called a link tree. So if you follow me on almost all of my everything I post, there's a link tree, and the link tree is a link that takes you to all my charities. It takes you to my store, my online store, where I sell T-shirts and hats and mugs and stuff like that, with my stuff on, with my symbols on it. And also, I have a GoFundMe, and so it's a one-stop shop. You hit that. I have 3 charities that I'm walking for. Um,
Which
I
are?
guess I could go ahead and get into that. So the first
Yeah.
is called the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, which is a charity that my mom was dedicated to, and she actually asked me, like, when you do this walk, because I told her I was going to do this walk before she passed, and she's like, make sure you make that one of your charities. And that's about, it's about issues with pancreatic cancer patients and finding a cure for pancreatic cancer, which is a lethal, very lethal cancer. Very few people survive it. Um, the other is the Johnny Mac Soldiers Fund, and the Johnny Mac Soldiers Fund is a charity that provides grants to scholarships for the children of fallen service members. So service members that fall in the line of duty, their children, it's a scholarship earmarked for them. And it's in the name of Jordan Morris, who's one of the soldiers that I commanded, who was killed in combat in Afghanistan in 2011. And there's a story about behind that, but he represents all of the fallen that I've lost in my service. And then the other is called the Independence Fund, and specifically Operation Resiliency. And what these guys do is they organize unit level reunions. So groups of soldiers that served together, and Marines that served in combat together in a specific time and place, brings them together, reconnects them. Veterans that have served in combat and veterans in general need their buddies.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of well-meaning programs out there that provide, support to vets. But, one of the things that's sometimes missing is vets supporting vets, and specifically guys that serve together in these very crucible like events, particularly as very young men and women. They bring them together. It's a very structured, event. It's not like a free for all. Like you do different events. You have structured discussions about veterans issues, and I've participated in a couple of these now. One with one of the companies that was in the battalion I commanded, Alpha Company, Attack Company 132, and I was just blown away to watch these guys just open up and talk and bond and reconnect and find strength and support in one another.
Mm.
So that's the other charity. In a divisive world that we live in, that's contrived, frankly. I believe Americans actually have a lot of things in common. And this is not a political thing. It's just about being a human being. I want people to come walk with me and talk with me. I've already had a lot of people come and do it, and everybody leaves going, "Wow, that was great," because it's part of being a human being. Human beings were meant to walk and run, not to sit on our asses all day and
Right.
driving around in cars all the time. Okay, We are meant to walk, and actually human beings are capable of moving much greater distances than just about any other animal, I think, actually. They're
Right.
capable of moving farther than a horse or a dog or other creatures that you think would be able to walk so much farther. Humans are walking creatures. We walked into every corner of the earth, pretty much. And when you take that into account, like, this is part of who we are. And part of our problems right now is that we as humans have become isolated from one another, by, because we live in our phones, and
Mhm.
we drive around in our cars, and we're angry, and we live in our suburban neighborhoods, and we don't know our neighbors, and
Mhm.
we're afraid to let our kids play outside and all that other stuff. All of this fear and all of this weird crap. Yeah, there's bad things. Bad things happen to good people. I get it, but there's also something to be said for being, having connection. And human beings, the best happiness you can have is connection, and feeling a part of something, and
I
feeling
agree.
like that you have value to a community. Um, and it's a way for people to come out, and just hang out with me,
I
and,
love it.
hang out with the weirdo Sasquatch guy, and,
I love it.
we'll walk and talk, and, like we're doing right now. If you and I were out right now, we'd be having this conversation out in the countryside.
And I'd be heaving because I'd be out of breath. But
No, it would
would you go at
be,
my pace? Would you go
we
at my
go
pace?
slow and steady. I'm
Okay.
not trying to go fast.
I don't want
This is
people to freak out and say I can't walk with him because he's like, oh,
no, I'm not Mr.
Okay.
I saunter.
Okay.
I'm
Good.
very
That's
slow and careful, So,
good.
I'm not,
Okay.
I'm a kind of an older guy, I'm taking my time,
Hey,
preserve
if
my
you're old,
body.
I'm old.
What's
If
that?
you're old, I'm old. We can't go there. Okay, so people can donate. We're going to put links so they can do the GoFundMe. They can buy your products. They can
I got three
donate to the other
charities.
organizations. And the best part is they could walk with you. So, how
Yes.
are they going to find out where you are on your journey each day in case you're in their city, town, state?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So I have on my page, Kenny Walks Across America page, I have my route posted. So if you were to open it up right now, you'd see Google Map links. But I also have a Google Sheet that has where I think I'm going to be each day. That's going to change a little bit. Um, so that's for so people can plan link ups with me.
Okay.
Um, and so far, obviously I've only been doing this for 7 days, so I'm just getting started. But it's fairly accurate. And yeah, so
They
that's
could
how
just,
you can find me and link up with me through through those
great.
two documents. Either the maps or the Google. So go to the Google document. You can say, okay, on this day, I basically say, here's where I think I'm going to bed down that night. So, that's a great place to link up. I have a van supporting me. So, if you drive up to walk with me for a day, you park wherever I'm starting, my van guy can get you back to your car at the end of the day, because that's the
Wow.
kind of thing that people worry about. It's like, oh, how am I going to get back to my car? I got to have two cars. So, I have good support.
That's awesome. That is so great because that takes that pressure off of how am I going to get back. So, and you guys, you could tell Kenny is, you don't have to, he's a sociable dude. So you don't have to know him to walk with him. So if this is fascinating to you, reach out to him, walk a mile, walk two, walk
Yeah.
the whole 15 if you want, right?
Or just meet me at the end and have a beer or a coffee or whatever. Or have a coffee
Hey,
with me in the morning.
that's awesome. Yeah, he does do coffee every morning. You'll see pictures. And I have one question. Would you mind taking a little detour up to the Seattle area and I'll walk with you? I'm kidding. I'll come where you are, Kay. I'm planning on. I want to be there. I'm just going to surprise you along the way.
Yeah, it's weird because people are like, "Oh, you must be so excited to get to California," and I don't even think about that. Like,
Okay.
I'm just gonna get there, and I'm gonna wade out in the Pacific Ocean probably, and I'll probably it'll be very emotional for me. But I have a feeling like I'm gonna go to bed that night and go, "Okay, well, what's next?
Yeah.
What's the next thing, right?"
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to say I'm going to walk up to Seattle, but I've thought about it. I mean, I've thought about, could I keep going? Uh, yeah, I'm probably not going to do that, but I'm just saying,
All right.
when you go out and you do something like this, I think there's this sort of desire to, how do I, there's something about this. Um, and I've been really surprised how many people are excited about this. Just the fact that you're talking to me right now, and I'm on your podcast, that's fun. That's exciting. It's exciting that people are interested in what I'm doing.
Well, here's the deal. A lot of people need stories like you to motivate them to do their brave thing, right? Maybe they've been thinking about doing something and they just don't know how, or haven't had the gumption or enough oomph. And you're making it happen. Well, you're a pretty determined person. We know that when you set out to do something, you do it. Sometimes it's harder for some of us. So what would you say to that person right now who's got this dream and they're thinking, there's just no way. I'm too scared, fearful, whatever. What would you say?
Well, I would say live life, because this is the life you've been given, and it's a great gift, and don't squander it.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Don't wait to do the things, because you know I got it. I mean, I got it. We got to work, and you got to have more money, and uh, maybe you don't need as much money. Maybe you don't need as much stuff. Maybe you can afford to downsize and focus on experiences and being rich in friends and life, and less on money and things. Again, it's up to each individual. I'm not. I believe in capitalism and all that stuff too, but I also believe that we have the choice to decide how we want to live our life, and you get a lot more fulfillment, I think, by if you have a dream and you want to do something big, and you're laying on your deathbed someday going, "Gosh, I really wish I would have done that."
Yeah.
Because I think there is a lot of regret in people's lives. There really is. It's most of that regret has to do with relationships, I think, and not being closer and connected and being more open with people that they cared about. But it's also about doing the things that they're, fulfilling their dreams, and, you know, live life. That's the advice I'd give them.
I love it. And with that, we are going to end because I have so many more questions, but guess what? We're going to be meeting throughout your journey. I hope you'll do this with
Sure.
me along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll keep people updated and keep it out there. And so we're going to give links to everybody. So remember, you can donate to the GoFundMe. You can buy his fun products. He's got all the garb gear and the 3 organizations you could donate to. And most of all, you can walk with him. So we will
Yes.
have all that information. So Kenny
And,
Mintz,
and like, yeah.
go ahead.
Yep.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, the link tree, if I give you that, it's all there. I don't touch the money. You know, I I don't. If you give those are all nonprofit. Tax deductible. Blah blah blah. If you give money to me, I appreciate it. I certainly have expenses, and but I'm less concerned about that. I appreciate the support. I love it when people buy my shirts and hats, just because it's fun to see
Hmm.
that they're interested in what I'm doing. And I've had people coming out wearing my shirts, and that's fun. It's just a fun thing. But
Yeah,
the charities are important. And the most important thing, like you said, is like, come walk with me. Even if you can only walk a mile, come walk with me.
that's awesome. Kenny, this has been a blessing. You are an amazingly strong, brave man. You always have been. And I just wish you the best. And I'm praying for you. And
Thank you,
I
Tracie.
yeah, I thank you. It's so exciting. And I can't wait to watch the whole journey. So, yeah, hang in there, buddy.
I will. I
Okay.
promise.
Thanks.
All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Braving It with me, Tracie Renee. My hope is that by hearing other stories of brave, it will help propel you forward into doing the same thing. If you've enjoyed this episode, I hope you will follow and subscribe. Until then, remember, brave begets brave. The more you step out in courage, the more courage you will find.